you are also one of the co-founder for HowToSFMC, right?
Yep.
So uh, I asked yesterday. I asked Gina, okay, how they came up with this idea of HowToSFMC. So let me ask you, how you people thought like, okay, let's create one Slack community about how to FFMC. How your what do you say? The thought process among you people came that okay, let's create a
Yeah.
different Slack.
Yeah. So initially, and you'll have to forgive me, my memory of this, I don't know if it matches up with others or not, but from my recollection, um, How to SFMC started before the Slack community. So the Slack community came probably about 6 months to a year after we had started um, spinning up How to SFMC.
Mm,
And what it initially had started out being was kind of a content hub driven for day zero users. Um,
mm,
so we had a conversation going in the Email Geeks Slack between, I think
mm,
there was like 5 or 6 of us, that we were
mm,
trying to find like absolute base zero content to get started on something. There was nothing out there.
mm,
I can't remember what we were trying to do or like how we were trying to do it, but there was nothing out there for it. And because everything assumed some level of knowledge. Um,
mm,
so we had started taking and tackling situations and tackling solutions from that ground zero base. Um,
mm,
and that seemed to catch on, which was really cool. And I think there were 6 of us that had founded How to SFMC, and it was really born out of that drive to help people upskill from like not having any knowledge of that subject, right?
mm,
Um,
mm.
so that was the original drive of it,
Okay.
and then we had started seeing a lot more interaction with it, a lot more um, speed picking up and a lot more people like interacting with us. So then we started saying, okay, maybe we should have that area of that Slack group for it to
Mm,
say this is where, if you're looking to interact
mm,
with how to see, you can interact here, which initially started out, we used to do challenges. So we would put out a
mm,
challenge, people would submit code, we would rank and, have a
mm,
winner, all that kind of stuff. They'd write an article. It started out as a place for those collaborators to like be in contact with us through that process. And then it just kind of grew out from there.
mm,
Um, and one of the main things that we've always wanted to be conscious of is that like we never wanted it to be, um, a replacement for email geeks, and it's not going to be. We don't want it to be that.
mm,
But it's definitely a place for that specific Salesforce Marketing Cloud user that's trying to upskill and trying to learn.
mm.
There's been a lot of really cool, a lot of good conversations that have come out of that. So it's been really fun.
Yeah. So yeah, I was just underlining this word, the day zero resources that you said, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is the brainchild from Greek.
He was definitely part of it.
Mm,
I think he was. Greg has definitely been one of the biggest driving forces behind it.
mm,
Like I said, I think there were like 6 of us that had founded How to SFMC, and there's been a few of them that have kind of come in and out of being active in it and being associated and whatnot. But I think that like right now, Greg is definitely one of the biggest proponents of it.
mm,
Um, and he's always had that content mentality of that day zero user on all
mm,
of his blog articles and whatnot. And I mean, hell, he's part of the reason why I've been able to go the development route is, a lot of his content is
mm.
what spurred me in that day zero aspect of it.
Yeah, yeah, actually, yeah. Because why I asking this question was when I reach out to Greek, okay, he told me like when I wrote a blog and said, Greek, can you please review this? So he was humble enough to give me a reply. I was not expecting, I don't expect, like I was little afraid initially with him, like, I take him very as a very big leader, so I have told this multiple times to other people as
Mhm.
well. So he was the one who's told me like, Sasi, if you want to do something, think about day zero focus resources.
Yeah.
So when I write articles in LinkedIn and all, so my title goes with day zero focus resource, day one focus resource. So that came from Greek only.
Yeah.
So what I see is, okay, now I came to LinkedIn. Okay. So what I see is you are not that active in LinkedIn.
Me, no. I've kind of taken a step back on social media over the last couple of months. I've been kind of heads down in an app that I'm building for Avigate that's going to be up on App Exchange. So I've kind of
Mm,
taken a step back from pushing out content and pushing things out. I used to be more active on Twitter,
mm.
um, but that's kind of gone down because of the state of Twitter. But LinkedIn is definitely something that I'm planning on focusing on this next year for sure.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Okay, I have sent you a request. Okay, I think it's pending for more than 5 6 months there. So
Yeah, I don't. I typically go on LinkedIn maybe once or twice a week, if that,
Mm,
and I haven't looked through my pending. So if it's, I
mm.
apologize if it's sitting in there and I
No,
haven't
no,
had a
no,
chance to.
that was in a lighter note. I can understand that. So, because what I feel like, see, if I'm making a conversation, okay,
Mhm.
I need to know the person very well, so I can
Yeah,
actually make the person open up.
yeah,
Okay, my conversation is like I try my hard best to basically to open up. Okay,
yeah,
so then the other people who can, when people opens up, then the other people will understand the relation, right?
yeah,
So
absolutely.
what was going inside his brain, what is happening. So if somebody is like not opening up, then the conversation, it becomes like it's very difficult to or basically my intention is to help others so
Yeah,
that they understand like how Tony came with this idea of this builder, okay,
yeah,
and how he planned. So if I'm able to make you open up, then I'm having a very good talent of making people open up.
yeah.
So
No, you're
uh,
literally you're doing fantastic, man. I love these series that you're doing. I've had a chance, like I said, I've had a chance to watch one or two of them, and they're awesome. They've been fantastic.
mm, so okay, so yesterday I asked Gina as well. Okay, now in how to SFMC, I'm going to give you 5 names. Okay. Now you have to sort them based on your favorite.
Oh, jeez.
Okay. So I'm giving you Amanda, Jacob, Adam, Greek, and Matthews. 5 people.
Um, so I will sort them in the and you may have to repeat them. My memory is not great,
Okay.
but I will sort them in the rankings of people that have helped me either actively or through content over the last 5 years.
Hmm.
So for sure, Greg is top. Greg has been like, it'll be 9 o'clock my time, and Greg is an hour ahead of me. So 10 o'clock his time. Greg is somebody that if I have something in my mind that I'm like, I have this crazy, crazy idea, I want to do this thing, before I even start, I will do a sanity check with Greg to say, hey, I got this crazy idea. What do you think about it? And Greg will either be like, that's a fantastic idea, or it's not for X, Y, and Z reasons. And like his articles are 100% how I've gotten into server side JavaScript and the development aspect of things. So
Mm,
Greg for me is like top one as far as people that have helped me.
me
Uh,
too.
Top two would probably be Adam,
Mm,
because when I was back at Trendline, I did a lot of really, really heavy AMP scripting, a lot of really heavy AMP script processing and stuff like that. So obviously with AMP script guide, with him and Elliot, like that resource and Adam's blog was, visited probably on a weekly basis, if not more.
mm,
Um,
mm,
So yeah, and then so who are the other ones? The other three?
You can choose your own. Now I'm giving you the full liberty of choosing
All right.
anyone from all of the other three.
Let's see. If I had to put number three, I would probably put Paul Schreiner over in the
Mm,
email geeks chat. Him and I
mm,
have been, you know, buddies on email geeks since I started. He's one of the
mm,
people that um, has always had my back as far as troubleshooting stuff. He's another one that'll jump on like late night if he sees it and collaborate with me. I think he was honestly he was actually the first person in email geeks community that I actually met in person. Um,
mm,
when I was at Connections in 2018. Um, and he's put me in contact with Chester Bullock, who's going to be my number
mhm,
four. He's
mm.
got me my last two jobs in the
Okay.
email industry. So he's gotten me a lot of jobs, and he's been another one that's been really cool collaborating, um, and just going back and forth on stuff, which has been awesome.
Mm,
Um, and then to round it out, I will throw uh Matuz, I believe it's Matuz Dabrowski, I think is how you pronounce his last name.
mm,
Because he has a lot of awesome content around SQL and a lot of like Salesforce Marketing Cloud content that
mm,
again, like when I have SQL roadblocks, he's got a whole cookbook on his website for SQL. He's probably my go-to for when I run into blocks with that. Um, yeah, so there's my top five.
mm. Yeah, it's very good. At least, yeah. Yesterday, I tried this to Jira. She didn't reply. She said, "I want to bog this down." She's such a lovely person that I know. But I tried my best. Yeah, I lost
Yeah.
in
No, I
front
mean,
of her.
and it's one of those things where like, I've been active in the email geeks community for 5.5 years now. So like
Mm,
that list shuffles constantly.
mm, mm,
Um, and there's no way to really quantify that top five. Those are just like the
mm,
people that like have helped me in the last, 5, 6 months with stuff. But like, it's a big community with a lot of people that truly, truly care and truly try to help people out. And then above all of that, I'll even go with the zero
mm,
up above there, um, is Gilda Hilaire, who is probably my favorite person in the industry right now. Just because
oh,
with what she's done with the Marketing Champions program and like what she's done to
mm,
help me personally
mm,
break into the space and like be afforded a lot of the opportunities that I've had. She's the
mm,
spearhead for that.
mm.
So she's definitely one of my favorite people in the industry.
Nobody will basically forget her, like her contribution and the basically encouraging people, like if somebody is very active now and suddenly, this discouragement obviously happens to everyone.
Sure.
Okay? I feel okay, no, I'm now tired. No, then and suddenly she will come with something crazy idea, and then again the members are active and
Mhm.
doing this. So that is I love what she's doing.
Yeah.
Now, I'm jumping to a very different path now. Okay,
Sure.
so during all your careers, right? You're doing excellent job, and uh, suddenly, definitely, we find some failures, right?
Hmm.
We feel okay. We then we learn from the failures, right?
Yeah.
And we make that failure as an advantage. Yesterday, I said the same statement. I have to little bit of twist it. Okay, so if you can say any failure, okay, that has changed you as a person.
Sure. So I've got two actually. So the first one was in my first email position. I was given the task and the opportunity to revamp all of our templates. So all of our email templates. And this was in um, higher education lead generation. So we had an email that was a automated email that goes out to hundreds of thousands of people every single day. Um, I looked at it and there's so much information on here, right? So I had the idea to take some of this information and condense them into accordions. So
mm,
collapsible accordions. Did a whole lot of research, figured out how to build it, did a whole litany of testing, um, got it solid, everything worked. So we released it, it went out, was out for maybe like 4 days roughly. And
mm,
apparently, Gmail had made a change, which was our biggest audience. Gmail made a change which completely broke the accordion
mm.
functionality. So
Ah,
our entire revenue was based off of the lead generation that was
mm,
stemmed from these emails, right? So for about 4 days of this email going out, users couldn't click on the accordion to drop it down to
mm,
actually interact with that space and convert.
mm.
Um, so that was a huge issue. And like what I learned from that was the whole keep it simple, right? So
Uh-huh.
I went in and I was like, oh, I got this awesome idea. It's going to make this email better. It's going to make it interactive. It's going to make it, X, Y, and Z more user friendly because it's going to be easier to navigate. It's not going to annoy our users. And then I did this whole big complicated thing when really just needed to be some simple tweaks and adjustments, right?
Mm,
So like as far as that goes, like it really kind of shaped me when I'm looking at like email design and whatnot, to keep in mind that yes, innovation, do all the cool stuff, innovate for email, but make sure you have those fallbacks in place and make sure you have that safety net, right?
mm, mm,
Um, so that was one of my early failings. Um, and then one of the other ones was actually right before Dreamforce. Um,
mm,
I had made some updates to Builder.
mm,
It was maybe like 3 days before Dreamforce that I made some updates. Um, and then I was sitting in the hotel the night before my presentation, going through
mm.
some stuff, and I was like, I'm gonna test this out one more time before I go on tomorrow to make sure. Because like when you do like events and when you do stuff, you
Uh,
always see like at least a small bump or a
uh,
small surge, right? So like I went from scratch, I did the install, I did X, Y, and Z going through the process, and apparently one of the changes that I had made had broke something along the process to even like get started to use it. I'm
mm,
like, oh crap. So I'm sitting in the hotel at like 11 o'clock at night, hacking away trying to fix this issue. And like I fixed it, it was all fine. But don't make changes a week
mm.
before a presentation. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
so I mean, it was one of those like don't push to production on Friday kind of moments where it was like,
Mm.
if you have something coming up and you know what you have out there is solid and it works, don't touch it. So
Yeah. Yeah. The second one I could actually properly relate. I'm more of a a person who is like always what do you say? Always you say how I said uh, this doesn't stop actually. This
yep,
doesn't stop. You're building something you build, right? It is already live and it is everybody is appreciated, everybody is good, well and good. Then suddenly you come with other more crazy ideas saying, I
yep,
can do even this. And once you try to, add that particular component or a small module into it, and then
yep,
it cracks everything there, okay, then you will
yep,
be like, I should not have done this, right? So what happened? Yeah, and most of the time I restrict myself not to touch the production. Sometimes I revoke my production uh,
yep.
password and everything. So I do not, I am very impulsive. Yeah, I am very impulsive. So I always restrict myself to development region. So if I do anything that goes down, then it goes down in the development. So Now I have learned in a very hard way. Yeah, a lot of time I have when if I have to go give a demo or something before the demo also sometimes I used to feel to impress more. Actually, the mindset is to impress more, right?
Right.
I want to show more. I want to add this as well, and I want to show. And when you try to do that, then you are always in a trouble. So
Yep. Yep.
we should always restrict that in institutions that is coming inside our mind that let me do more. Maybe we have to slow our pace at that moment.
Yep.
Okay. Uh, uh, so the last, okay, and the final question that I'm going to
Sure.
ask you today is, uh, from this failure, okay, what are
Hmm.
the lessons that you learned and you want to say it to the other community members, okay, who might face this issue or might be facing this issue and how to overcome this? And if somebody is very new to marketing cloud, okay, and they are looking for resources, where to learn, how to learn, what are your suggestions for them?
Sure. So what I learned from my failures, what I've learned from like the issues that I've come up against, either like outside forces or my own oversights, whatever, is that even if you are on a team of one, so like when I'm developing like Builder or another project or whatever, oftentimes I'm a team of one that's in the development process, other people oversight and whatever, but like me only in the development process, still follow, um, you know, standard practices, right? So like you said, like you do everything at a development
Mm,
branch. So if something goes down, it's a development branch and it's not your production,
yeah.
right? um
Mm,
Even as a team of one, have those systems in place, have those workflows in place, and be mindful and be strict about it. It's way too easy to say, I need to do this hot fix or whatever. I'm going to jump over to my main branch, throw it in, and just push it live when you got to test it and do all that kind of stuff. Right. So, like,
mm,
it takes discipline and it takes that mindfulness about it. But in the long run, having that mindfulness and having that discipline about it and having that process will save you more times than it's going to hurt you, right?
mm,
Um, so like that's something I've definitely learned over even this last year, is that
mm,
like have those processes in place and actually adhere to them.
mm,
Um, but yeah, and then for resources, my top email industry resource is and always will be Email Geeks.
mm,
So I've been an Email Geeks for 5 years, and I would not be half of where I am at without that
mm,
community, um,
mm,
and the people within it. So it's definitely been something where it's given me the opportunity, it's given me the knowledge and the resources to figure stuff out. Um, you know, I wouldn't be where I'm at without that community for sure.
mm,
And then for like email and for Salesforce Marketing Cloud specific kind of stuff, like obviously How to SFMC has been instrumental in, a lot of people in their journey as well. Um,
mm,
so, I mean, they're both really great communities to be a part of. I recommend being a part of both of them because there's
mm,
different points of view, different people in either one of them. And even if it's something that's not marketing cloud specific, like email in general is a big industry. Email Geeks is awesome. So, but
mm,
yeah, and then as far as like blog resources and that kind of stuff goes, um, there's so much out there right now that is coming up. I mean, we're seeing a whole lot of new players in the space as far as like content being put out. Um,
mm,
it's ever changing, and there's so much good content being put out right now.
mm. True. True. So, yeah. So, to everyone, whoever we watch this is actually, yeah. To having a discipline, yeah, it will take some time to maintain it, but you have to agree to that discipline. If
Yeah,
somebody is teaching you, then saying this is a discipline, this is the practice, then you have to strictly follow that practice, right? It will slowly and slowly, it will inculcate in your uh, everyday life, and
yeah,
then you'll see the output of it, right? for me, like I messed up a lot of things with this impulsiveness during uh, doing some kind of a demonstration or okay. My because yeah, I try to slow down my brain, saying that stop thinking, and
Hmm.
a lot of people call me that I overthink, and which is true also. I don't disagree with, I overthink, yeah. So one of my director one day called me because in a demonstration I was totally, went crazy. Before say 20 30 minutes of the demonstration, I added few more quotes into it, few more lines or something.
Hmm.
So I feel like, okay, I'll do this here. So it break everything. And he called me to his desk and say, Sasi, I said, first I said, I'm very sorry. I said, very sorry. They said, no, no, no. I understand. I have also gone through that phase. I used to do the same. And he just gave me a very small trick out of it, which I actually, it has helped me a lot. The trick was to always think of a modular code.
Hmm.
Okay. So you're thinking of some function to be implemented. You have already built the full use case. Okay. Full tool you have built it. And suddenly you realize, okay, I need to add more functionality to it. You want to add more functionality. Okay. Don't go to the main code source and start making change. Make another modular code and call that function into it
Yep.
so that if certain things breaks, you can basically comment it out.
Yep.
And then again, you are in a safer zone. This was more than 6 years back. Okay, when I was in .NET,
Yeah.
six, not six, even 7 years back. Yeah, 7 8 years back.
Yeah.
When yeah, when I was doing actually AngularJS that time. So that actually has helped me all this path. So I
Yeah.
always think about in marketing cloud. I always think about content builder,
Yeah.
content blocks, right?
Well, and
So
that's
code snippets and all.
right. And that's definitely something that like I've that's something that I've learned as well over the last couple of years of that modularized code base, right? When you think of like email design systems, everything is usually modularized, right? Well, I've been doing a lot of like software and web development with like React and Vue, where everything is components, everything is modularized, right? Um, and one of my favorite things that I'm actually currently working on right now, I was working on it this morning a little bit, is taking cloud page development and breaking things up into modularized content blocks, right?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and not just like each page is its own content block, breaking it down to that modern web development type mentality where you have your header, that's a
Mm,
content block, and you have modules
mm,
for it. You have,
mm,
your main hero section, you have a
mm,
form, and everything is modularized. It's all components and it's all, that single use for that module, right?
mm,
Um, and I've been doing a lot of stuff with like Vue.js on
mm,
cloud pages where you can actually have an isolated component where it
mm,
handles all the functionality for that component in one content block.
mm.
But yeah, I mean, it
Yeah.
follows that same mentality because it was the same thing where if you need to turn
Mm,
something on or you want to add something, create
mm,
a new content block and
mm,
then bring that in. And that way you
mm.
can just toggle it on and off. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's a
yeah.
good lesson to learn for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Whenever I build a cloud page, if you go and see my cloud page code, you will only see call by content block by key.
Yep.
Nothing else that you'll find in the cloud page.
Yeah.
So a lot of people they want a proper documentation. They always come and say, Sashi, I could not understand anything. It's not written anything there. I say, okay, somebody will build. I am not good in documentation, but yeah,
Yeah.
my team helps me with all this documentation. All. Mm. There was a lot of things to discuss, yeah, but I think next time I will again connect with you with some other topic because I
Yeah.
want to go with your GitHub repository. Okay, I want to
Yeah.
scroll to every functionality that you have built in your GitHub. I was going through that one click and all, but there was in my mind, but with the certain flow of your chain, because I go with the flow.
Yeah.
Whatever conversation is taking the route, I go that route. Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm very happy that you open up, and I'm very thankful for you that you
Um,
came here and open up and said so lucidly, so fluidly, and this candid conversation will one of be the, yeah, very good conversation with you. Want to see you once again, maybe sometime later once I become
Sure.
free. Okay. Thank you so much, and we'll connect again someday
Excellent.
or some other day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let
Thank you
me.
for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I'll stop the recording.